I had one encounter with him where he got really pissed off at me. I mean, I was a little bit confrontational there.
Someone
but...
got pissed off at you? No.
Yeah, well, I was a little bit of an asshole to him, but like, what is wrong with you? Who doesn't listen to Thracia music when playing Thracia?
I don't like. First of all, this chapter, it's half the time it's like the most. There's too much tension in the music, unfortunately. But I do like Thracia music.
Integration. It's supposed to be tense.
Okay.
But I have listened to it too many times too. But I still listen to it.
You can hear the music. You can hear the music I'm playing right now through your headphones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can.
It's funky. It's funky fresh, and you are a man of color, so I wanted to keep it soulful for you.
I am not a man of color. My avatar is a man of color.
But you do have soul, right?
I think I have. I'm not a ginger, so
yeah. You're not. Here we go. Yeah, Mangs comes into my chat and he starts haranguing me and saying, "Hey, everybody, say Pitfall in the chat." And then he's like,
"Oh, you blame my fan base for it?" Jeez.
Yeah.
Mekkah's private fan base always calling Pitfalls.
He's the worst. He's the worst. And then he's
Max
like,
never just says hi, what's up? He's always like, oh,
let me meme.
Taking away my content.
Oh no, he was like, oh man, you play so slow.
Taking away my units. Taking away my fire dome.
Yeah, she's.
I really don't know how to feel about someone like spending orbs or money for a gimmick like that.
Yeah.
On such a toxic game.
Well, they're all talk. The thing is, man, before I started Faye, I swore off ever playing gachas. I'm amazed that like you, as such a huge fan, didn't succumb to that. There's literally not a single IP on this fucking planet that would get me to play another gacha, except for Fire Emblem. I played Final Fantasy Record Keeper before any of the Fae stuff, and I hated it, and it just destroyed me as a person. I was like, it's not even the microtransactions, it's the constant, it's the FOMO, it's the constant like log in every day to get the most out of these rewards. You don't log in every day, you're missing out on these rewards, dude. I never wanted to do it again, and literally there's not a single IP on this. Maybe Pikmin would get me to play another gacha if they had the Pikmin, but like I know, no, I completely feel you on that one. At its core,
I don't think I want to talk about this right now, even though I think it's interesting to talk about.
Oh yeah, no worries.
I hate it so much, but I don't want to rant about it because everyone's heard me rant about it.
Yeah, no, we know, we've seen the video, the one video, just that one
video, the only one I wanted to upload, and then like two more.
Only one, but guess what? I think you'll see. I don't know if you're familiar with the mechanics or not. How do you feel? Just like, okay, let's not talk about the concept and the.
You want to talk about Heroes as like a free to play,
Yeah, let's talk about it mechanically. Do you know? Are you familiar with the mechanics?
I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest here. When Heroes first came out, my phone couldn't run it, so I just said, "Screw it! I don't really feel like playing this."
That's like me with Pokemon Go. I was in a basement. I was in a basement playing Radiant Dawn on hard, and I didn't get any service. Because I was just like, and I tried catching a Bulbasaur in like the sink in the basement that I pee into sometimes, and. It just didn't work, and so I was just like, you know what, fuck this, I'm playing a fucking real video game here. Like,
anyway, Heroes mechanically, I have played it by now because I now have a phone that can run it, so I tried it out a very tiny little bit just to be able to say that I tried it. And like, I actually watch the Fire Emblem Heroes subreddit every once in a while just because there's sometimes just good memes, and if I'm perfectly honest, I enjoy shitting on the game at every opportunity. So whenever something bad, like super bad, happens, I kind of laugh at people for playing it or something. I don't know how to describe
I feel
it.
this.
I enjoy it when it's fuck up because the salt threads are funny and everything. But like, first thing is like, Heroes is more heavily based on Fates and Awakening than older games mechanically.
Real quick, yes or no on this door?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Okay.
At least I would never open it at this point.
Okay. All right, go ahead. It's based on fates and awakening.
Yeah, it's skill emblem, and I don't like skill emblem because you gotta check every enemy repeatedly for skills, and you can have different setups and everything. And I don't really enjoy Fire Emblem that way. I enjoy Fire Emblem partially because the information you need to make the right decisions in a battle are at your fingertips. You just need to like check the battle forecast real quick, and you'll know how much damage everything does. So a skill like, I don't know if it's in Heroes or not, but a skill like Darting Blow, for example, that gives like +5 speed on enemy phase. It's really hard to check for when you're used to doing it the traditional way, because suddenly an enemy phase, this Pegasus Knight has 5 extra speed, he doubles you, he kills your Baruka or something. That's what happened to me on Conquest. I don't enjoy that kind of gameplay. And nowadays, the skills are also like super too long didn't read, like Yu-Gi-Oh level sometimes. And it's like, Jesus Christ, how do I take that into account? There's like a really funny comic about it where like a guy is like making a decision. He's like, oh my god, it's Wednesday. That means this enemy gets like +5 attack as long as the amount of letters in his name is like odd or something. It's like,
yeah, what's it called? No, I completely agree. And honestly, I felt that more when I played Conquest than anything else. Like,
yeah,
the skill emblem
hard
thing.
For the first time, it's really bad.
when it comes down to the game, once you start playing the game enough, you kind of get a feel for. You have to check the skills no matter what, and that's part of the appeal, is to see what the whole composition that the other person puts out. It's only 4 people, but I completely feel you on that, especially with the Conquest thing. I got so pissed off with all these stupid ninjas with whatever that skill is that they attack you first, or Vantage. But am I making there's some skill where if you attack them at close range where they can't counterattack, you still do recoil damage to yourself, point blank.
Oh yeah, I think Azama has that in chapter 11 or something.
No, a lot of people, Azama and all the ninjas, I could not stand that shit. How are you doing in Conquest, by the way?
Come again?
How are you doing in Conquest? I've only been checking.
I recorded chapter 11, like this chapter with all the stairs.
Yeah.
That was actually not very much like Conquest at all. That felt more like a FE8 map or something. It was very slow. There was nothing really that told me to go fast. It was very different from chapter 10. Chapter 10 was amazing. I really enjoyed chapter 10. I did with Mangs.
I love chapter 10.
No, I saw part of that. Chapter.
Yeah, I saw part of that. And I saw when the levee broke, as it were. And that was very fun to watch. It's honestly, that's like the breaking point for a lot of people, especially if they play it on hard. You're playing on hard. You're not using any My Castle or anything like that. How do you feel about the weapon, the lack of durability? Do you think so far it's balanced in a way?
I'm happy they tried something new by implementing it. Actually, like it was not a safe choice at all. It kind of failed in a way because apparently iron weapons are much better than the rest, but I'm glad they tried it. I don't think I would bring back the weapon durability if I was them in 3 houses, which I think they did.
I totally agree.
Echoes obviously didn't need it because it was a remake of Gaiden, which also had no weapon durability, so that was fine.
Yeah.
But I think overall the GBA system was better. Although I think generic weapons like iron should have infinite uses like GBA games. I think that's much better because buying those doesn't really add anything to the game. It's kind of boring. But something like a Killing Edge or a Brave Sword or something should not have infinite uses.
That's a very interesting point about the iron weapons. I never actually thought about that. But for me, when I played through it, I feel like it's actually pretty well balanced. It's just the fact that nobody plays Conquest linearly. They use the My Castle, and they use the DLC, and they treat it like an open map game.
Yeah.
And because
that is the other thing I don't like about Fate's Awakening is there's so much optional RNG-based content that you have to ignore to make it feel like a Fire Emblem game.
Yeah.
That's the way another person described it to me. It was like, in order for this to feel like a GBA Fire Emblem, you have to ignore so much stuff that's obviously intended to be used.
Yeah.
But every time I'd like walk around in My Castle, grab shit, I was like, I have no idea whether I'm meant to be having this or not. Like, the game should be balanced around limited resources and having access to certain things. But this just throws it all for a loop. You're like, I have no idea how good my army is supposed to be at this point. Because you can do just about anything.
You can. It's harder than most Fire Emblems, especially on hard difficulty.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think, honestly, that's because it's... Part of that is being based around DLC and based around them expecting you to use the My Castle.
But like, how much do they expect you to use? Because there's so much different stuff that gets you so much different. Like, you got like random weapons that boost random stats. You got like forges that you can do depending on the RNG. So there is no way they actually balance this around a certain level. I think they just didn't really balance it. They just happened to make a good game. Like, Heroes has no level progression system like Fire Emblem Chapters. So again, there's no real way to make a balanced map around someone's difficulty, that kind of stuff. It just doesn't feel like Fire Emblem for me if it's not balanced about what you're supposed to have.
How do you feel about the lack of speed or the lack of skill? The skill stat. There.
Oh,
how do you feel like?
I have a friend who plays it occasionally. He really likes it.
I
guess it is. Yeah. It is an okay. It is again. It's an experiment that I encourage. Like if this was a main game Fire Emblem, I would actually think this is a good way to balance. Well, good way to balance
speed.
It's like it's interesting, and it's also like they did an interesting thing with the activation skills where it activates after a certain number of battles, turns, whatever. That's kind of okay because it also takes away some RNG. That's really nice. I actually don't mind that.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the fact that it just balanced speed. Speed is still the best stat in the game but it at least balanced it a little bit because speed is almost everything in these games. Oh yeah, so I was talking about the weapon durability system. I think that system is balanced around the game being played linearly. Because people say, yeah, you can use +4 iron sword and it's way better than any silver sword you'll ever get, but you're not gonna get a +4 iron sword if you're playing this game linearly. Not even close. It's so expensive to make anything +2, so in that way, yeah, I just feel like we should have something more concrete within the constraints of the game, and then after that, let people have like all these options outside of that. Like, I personally think that Phoenix mode and casual mode are great options because they don't undermine the game in general. They don't undermine the game mechanics.
I partially agree. I think they can undermine it. If a new player gets used to casual mode too much, it's really hard for them to adapt to classic mode. A lot of people have trouble with that if they actually go with Phoenix or classic first. Yeah. And it's possible to learn, sure, but I think it's better to start with the game on classic mode. Not that like you're not a scrub for playing casual mode or anything, but I really feel like classic mode is really part of Fire Emblem. Like the permadeath thing is so important for Fire Emblem.
I agree that like you need to. It's not Fire Emblem without permanent death. It's just straight up not Fire Emblem. I think the problem is maybe in the naming of it, classic and casual, because it implies that they're both.
You're a casual for playing this.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, it's not. It's basically a name, like a profanity at this point in the fandom. I completely agree that it's not the same game. I just have a problem with mechanics that are inserted in these games that straight up undermine or make the game redundant in a way. But if it's an external thing, I can't say no. It's more about the narrative of what it's becoming outside of the game itself. You're not really a big you're not like huge on story either. You don't play these games for story, right? Like this is not
really. I mean, I do enjoy it when I have like characters that touch me. Like for example, Asphel, when he talks to Leaf, he talks about like how he's been searching for him for like 3 years or something. That's insane. Like that kind of dedication. That's actually because again with the whole combination of story, characters, and gameplay stuff, that really gets me the way that combination works. Because there's really good music playing in the background, which you would hear if you played this game with music on.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just find that kind of stuff touching. That's why Asphel is one of my favorites, and then Leaf and Nana and Finn are like some of my favorites because I don't know the whole things that they've been through for each other.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said with less reading between the lines rather than being told the entire scripture of their fucking life within a support or whatnot. I agree with that.
I mean, it's not exactly a hot take, but Fate's characters are really just so one note and so boring and obviously pandery to a certain part of the audience. It's like they just had like a list of types of people that they wanted to sell the game to, so they just made a character that fit every one of them, so they would all buy the game.
A lot of people would argue that they get depth as you go into their supports.
But supports are terrible.
Yeah, I would argue that's not really true. I don't know. I don't really see it, at least. I gotta kill this guy because he's fine.
I'm sure there's probably good supports, but I don't know, the support mechanic system is a pretty bad way to get more depth, and also like I just don't think that even if you have like super long good well-written supports that matter to that development and like base conversations, like an FE9 and FE10 anyway.
Yeah.
I just think that's a pretty bad way to get across depth. And like saying like if a character is really bad without supports, like if they make no sense, if they're contradictory, if they're stupid, if they're really irrational to the point of just being laughable, without seeing supports, that still I think it's still fair to say that they're bad characters then, even if the supports give them some kind of excuse for it.
Do you feel that way about what's his face? Who's the late game mage in Fire Emblem 7 who has really crappy magic and
Renault?
Yeah, Renault. He's definitely fits that what you just described right there. Like you have no idea why is this person here, and you have to get into their supports to understand what they're
Renault is different because he's clearly set up to be. I mean, first off, he joins late, so he doesn't have much time to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also, he's clearly set up to be more of an Easter egg mystery kind of character, and he's not Perry or Corrin or Camilla, who's like super annoying and dumbly written. Like Renault just isn't there for most of the game, so he's like completely inoffensive for that part. And for late game, even when he joins you, he's like, it's kind of mysterious why he's there. Like, why is there a guy on the third aisle like this? But you're not like super confused or like wondering what the hell they were thinking when they made this character or something. He's just there. And then the supports are the way to discover what the fuck is up with him, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have preferred a different way, but they were clearly going for a character that was only supposed to be shown through supports.
Yeah.
I don't really have a big problem with that.
I'm not a big fan of supports personally. I think that the game is fine without them. I
like this game's supports.
Yeah, I like when they come up from time to time. I like that they're there, and it's cool. But I just think there's an overemphasis at this point on them, and like a Fire Emblem game isn't a Fire Emblem game with supports. I disagree, and like in my opinion, I think fucking the way they handled it in Radiant Dawn was the best. Like, hey, how are you doing, buddy? Pretty good. How are you? Great. That's it. That's all it needs to. Okay, this was fine. We'll be good on this. I
think you have a good chance of surviving this. I think.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah. I'm very much ready. The asphalt die.
Okay, let's go.
Please no die. Please no die. Okay, I think he might be fine.
He's good. He's good. He's got Vantage, right?
No, he does not.
These guys are going to use hand axes.
Please dodge 3 things. Please dodge 3 things. I love Asphalt. He's my favorite.
Woo!
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, he doesn't double. That doesn't matter for survival. Actually, he's also in range of a Thunder Mage. This is so bad.
Problem solved.
Come on. Live.
Player 1 starts to strike back.
There we go.
Come on.
Nice.
Speed.
Right where it counts. Oh, fuck!
Yep.